This is how to make Drake style R&B drum patterns. If you like what you see in this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. Make sure to hit that Discord link in the description below as well. I'd love to have y'all in there. Let's get right into this video. First and foremost, simplicity is an art form. I always love adding some new element every 8 bars. Also, in general, what I've come to find is like an 8-bar loop, front loading the front of the loop and the back of the loop and leaving like the middle of the loop kind of more spacious for artists to rap over. Very beneficial, you know, and I'll show you why. I'll show you how all those tips come into play. So what I like doing with my kicks, like again, how I just mentioned with the drums, I like to front load the front end of my loop. So if we're talking about like this part of the loop is being the front and this part being the back, I like to just front end the front and the back and leave the middle kind of spacious for the artist to rap over. Another thing that I love doing, if you listen to the chords that I do with my kick pattern, I like just going along with the chord hits. So it's like boom, or it's like boom, boom, boom. Really adds like an intense feeling, you know, it's like boom, 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 going along with the chords. Another thing that I love doing in my kick patterns is very subtle but super effective. It's just that right here, what I did is I added one more kick in the second half of this just to add some variation. Another thing that I love doing, ending the whole loop with just like this little hits like boom, boom, boom. Because those 3 hits for R&B I found work super well. It's just like this one little timing of just like boom, 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 and then the one being the 3rd hit. Beautiful. So it's this right here. And then another thing that I love doing, I experiment with this from time to time, but it's leaving the kick out on the 1. Now in terms of my hi-hats, a cool little trick that you can do, that I do all the time, is just copy the kick pattern, put it to the hi-hat pattern, and then just branch out off of that. Super awesome for just like starting your hi-hat ideas. I don't like to add more than like 2 hi-hat rolls within every 4 bars, then it just might sound a little like too much for R&B. Adds a little bit of spice, you know, because then this is different than just add some variation, you know. Also, you can play with these velocities too. So right here, boom, play with these velocities. So it's like, you know, let's listen to it. You know, and obviously the obvious 2-step. And so now we can add a little hi-hat rolls here too, and this will sound pretty cool. So let's add it after a snare hit. No, adding hi-hat rolls after a snare hit, cool. I like that. Another thing that I love doing, which I got from Metro, just listening to a lot of Metro's beats, Metro Boomin, is he leaves a lot. What is this? What are we gonna call this? A quarter bar? A quarter bar? Whatever. Quarter bar, half a bar, just like with no hi-hats. Sounds dope. Just leave a lot of space, man. You'll hear what I mean. It's like what you can also do to spice up your hi-hat rolls is obviously just like playing with octave below and above, adding super simple notes. So let's see. You know, also when I play with different notes in different octaves, not octaves, but you know, different notes playing lower or above C right here, I love doing it in like a different tempo than the original hi-hat pattern. So like this, the 2-step right here. Boom, 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 boom. See how like these hi-hat hits are right here, just like boom, 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 like different tempo. And so for my snare right here, I love adding support snares instead of just doing like 1 hits right here. I'll give you guys my 4 main little support snare or like 4 go-to little rim patterns, like that. So it's like, yeah, so I can't even, I don't know like the mathematical or algorithmic term for this, but you know what I like to do is this is one of the patterns where I just like putting all these in between each and every main snare hits. See, like the main snare hits, I like putting these 2 support snares. Again, I don't even know what the tempo is for this or what to call it, but you know, that never fails. And then another big pattern that I like to do is these first 2 snare hits, I like taking out the first one. So it adds a little variation between all these ones. Let's hear it. So yeah, and then what I like to do too is keep that one in and then take this one out. This one is beautiful. I love that this just adds like a beautiful bounce, in my opinion. It's just like and of course you can mess with this so many ways you want, but I really love this. It's really bouncy. And then one last one that I love doing is my go-to is having all these be like regular, just regular snare hits, and then having this last one be like the tune between. So like let's listen to this one. Sounds good with the 808s. So the 808s, there's a couple things you can do off rip to make them sound good. Like you just follow the chord progressions. So obviously mine in the sample starts with like boom, boom, boom. So that's what I kind of did here. Boom, boom, boom. It's not hard to find the notes in the right key. What I like to do is hit Control A, and then highlighting everything, and then taking everything just Control up an octave, so you hear what the actual notes sound like of the 808 way better. You know, it's like, you hear that? It's like boom, boom, boom. Here, I'm gonna single it out. It's like, so way easier to tell if they're in the key or not by doing that in like the 8th octave, than instead of trying to do it like way down here. Which sounds way more muddy. Another thing that you can do off rip is taking the bass line, or taking the bass notes of the piano MIDI, or just the lowest notes of each chord of that MIDI, and then just putting that into your 808. Also, if all else fails, you can always copy the kick pattern. So just like this, boom, copy this kick pattern, boom, put it right here, bam. And if it comes out like this, you're obviously gonna want to put it in the key again. So first of all, I'm gonna hit Control A, and then hit Alt L to make all those notes just like stretch out to the maximum length. So that way 808s don't just sound like boom, boom. You know, if you were to have like, the setup, kind of like this pattern that I came up, again, it's way simpler than following the kicks that I just put out. Simplicity, again, is like the whole theme of this. Like, I love playing around with like just the direction and the arrangement with the 808 notes. Like, I could definitely just play with this and just put this right here, boom, and just have that playing for like all these, this whole loop right here. But I like playing with the direction, so I went down right here, boom, 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 boom. And I went like boom, 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 boom. You know? Yeah, just switching the direction adds like a lot of variation. Sorry, the trash person's outside. One thing that you can also do to spot up your 808 patterns is like, let's say right here, when we dive into the next, next 4 bars, you can add a little passing note, just like you do in a chord progression. Yeah, you can do it with the 808, so let's see how that sounds. See how it sounds without everything, so you can hear better. You know, just spice it up. And something that I just did, what I didn't mention, is to also change the octave of your 808s to find the right vibe that you're looking for. A lot of times, my 808s sound best when they sit in this 4th octave right here. So this is mainly in the 5th one. See how my notes are like mainly in the 5th octave. Take it down. I found that like most of my beats sound best when they're in the 4th octave, but I always teeter-totter around the 4th and 5th octave. You guys just definitely play with that. I think it's a huge tip to make sure you play with that. Find like what vibe fits best with your beats. And then for open hats, I love to keep these super simple. I like to add no more than 2 per 4 bars. So what I found that works really well is to add these open hat patterns, open hat hits around like kicks and snares. And so I found that they sound great at like right on a kick hit, or like right before you're diving back into the one at the end of like a 4 or like an 8 bar loop or whatever. So basically when you have them right here, or when you have them right here, that's what I'm talking about. So let's hear those. You see? When I just had these was like, right there was like after on a snare hit as well. So that sounds amazing. What also sounds great is right before a snare hit. So this one's gonna be like, that, I love that. I used to always rep that back in the day. Well, let's make it a little closer. So let's go like that. It's gonna sound dope. I used to always do that, yeah. Now for the perks, I have like this little same rule. I love keeping it super simple. I love adding no more than 2 perk hits per every 4 bars. One thing that I love doing with perks though, is I always add them in places snare hits or kick hits or hi-hat hits don't normally land, you know? So let's see where this one lands. It was in just like such an odd place. There was no hit, no hi-hat, rim, or kick hit right there. I just love doing that, adding them in like these odd places just to fit it into the beat. So arrangement is huge, man. It's basically how you keep the listener's attention in the beat. So I have like basically 4 different types of samples. I have like my hook, first part of the verse, second part of the verse, and then my intro, which I always have as my outro as well. But my beat goes intro and then the hook sample, or like hook part of your melody, which if you're creating it on the spot. I'm so sorry about the trash guy outside. But yeah, so what I do is I add this hook sample right here, and then you just copy the whole hook part right here. I love having the meat of my beat at the hook, so like every sound that I have, but then I take out all the drums right here just to add a longer intro. It's just gonna help with like watch time on YouTube when you post it. Just gonna keep listeners on your videos a little longer if you post tight beats. But yeah, that's what I like to do. So in terms of melody and the melodics of your beat, like if you're working with a sample, there are a couple things that you can do to like differentiate that throughout your beat. The way that I do it is I like to just add basses. I like to add vocals. I love warping the sample for my chorus part as well. And I like adding vocals to the second part of my verse and keeping the vocals out of the first part. And then when I say warping it, it's usually just like pitching one part or like a specific part of the sample up or down an octave, or just adding a super trippy bass. Samples usually come with like just a warped part, you know, kind of like my loops as well. Folks use my loops. Shameless plug, they're gonna be down in the description below. And like I said before, I love just having like just the melody as the intro, and then having this chorus intro be like a really warped sound, really warped style, really warped part of the sample. And having this first part of the verse just being melodic, no vocals at all. Really like the basic simple part, first part of the verse. Then I like adding vocals for this second part, kind of like the first part, but just vocals added. And this third part again is just the same chorus part right here, like a warped version. And like how I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I like to add a new element every 8 bars or so. So like this beginning 8 bars just has literally just my sample, the kick, and the snare hit. Second 8 bar, second part of my verse, I added the hi-hats and the open hats in my perk. And then the chorus part, I added my 808s. And again, change the sample. Just adding variation every 8 bars, again, just to keep the listener interested throughout the beat. And then this is some sauce right here. I believe this is like half a bar right here, but whenever I dive into my chorus from my verse, I always, what is this, half a bar? Yeah, half a bar right here. I always just take it out. It just adds some beautiful tension and going into the chorus. So let's listen to it. Hits every time. And the last little thing that I'll leave you guys with is I love fading my beats out. Really recommend you do it. You know, I believe it just sounds better to the ear when the beat just fades out. And the tag right here, I only put the tag in 3 times in my beats. One right before my drums first come in, and then in the 2 choruses like right after, or like right before my choruses end. So there y'all have it. That's all my sauce on how to make Drake type R&B drum patterns. If you like what you saw in this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. Make sure to hit that Discord link in the description below. Would love to have y'all in there. I will see y'all in the next video. Deuces.